Hello once again, folks. This is Customizing the Clone Wars, episode 21. I am your host, as always, Peak Obi-Wan, Customizer. And along with me, I have my co-host. He goes by Darth Daddy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Looking forward to tonight's episode, Brain Invaders, which is I think it's one of the cooler episodes that we got from the Clone Wars.
Right.
I think it's in my top 5.
I affectionately call this one the Shining episode, simply because of the music, mostly. It has that kind of, I don't know, Kubrick feel or something, where the music is kind of eerie because of the content of the show or whatever. If you haven't seen our show before, what we do here is we talk about the Clone Wars series, and we're going by each season, and we're currently in season 2, and we're talking about Brain Invaders, like Darth Daddy said, and that's episode 8 of season 2, and that its original air date was on December 4th of 2009. So let's get into it. I'm going to read from the episode guide, like I always do. It says, Ahsoka and Barriss Offrey accompany the clone troopers of Tango Company on a mission to Ord Cestus Medical Station. However, brainworms have made their way into their ship, and they begin to infect the troopers. While Anakin frantically tries to find a way to neutralize the worms, Ahsoka must separate friend from foe. Wow, there it is. I should learn to talk like Tom Kane or something like that.
This one's cool. This is the last of the Geonosian arc. So this is the last episode from that. And this one was just so cool. It was definitely like a horror movie, for sure.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in Filoni's universe, right? And we just heard news about Filoni. Wasn't that crazy? If you haven't heard, folks, I guess he's no longer, supervising director?
Executive director, I think it was titled. Might have been, but yeah.
And what they say going around the web, there's no need for alarm. Even like Rebel Force Radio has said, no big deal. He does this all the time. He's still overseeing it. Everything is cool. And that's Rebels I'm talking about. But, we thought we'd talk about it since it is Dave Filoni, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who has produced this show, Clone Wars.
And they said he is going to still be directing some episodes. So
That's right. Yeah, and I think, who was the executive producer on this one? I know George was the one who wrote this one, which was really cool. Good idea on George's part. To have kind of biological warfare. I'm assuming, and we've talked about this over the last few episodes. Last week, Darth Daddy showed his awesome Karina the Great, and she has what's called a hive mind. And what she does is she talks to the worms while they're inside you, but she controls them. So I guess we're assuming she survived, right?
Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to control anyone in this episode that we're going to be talking about tonight had she been dead. So that was an indicator that she did survive. And actually, I think it's the Vader comics from Marvel, they show her, and she actually is part robot, so I guess she did sustain some damage, but she's part cyborg in the Vader comics, which is kind of interesting.
Of course.
Almost the same way. What was the villain?
Trench.
Kind of has the Trench vibe going there. So I actually have to go. I have the Vader comics. I'm going to go dive back in, just get an idea of what ended up happening with her and her role in Star Wars going. After this episode takes place.
Yeah, that's so cool. She was great, and that was a great custom, man. Great job. You said you had some technical difficulties with it. Anything you wanted to share with the customizing community?
Definitely. Okay, so I used air dry clay from Crayola. Huge mistake. Would never recommend anyone trying that. So what was happening? I would get these like cracks coming throughout the whole entire body. It was driving me crazy because I'd spackle it, and the next day I'd go and there would be cracks again. So I think I mentioned it a little bit last episode. What I didn't provide you last week was a good solution for how to deal with that. So I was talking with Luke Sprywalker later.
Awesome customizer. Yeah.
Really good customizer. Big influence on me when I first started.
For
But
sure.
I was on the phone with him, and he said, a lot of customizers, when they make dioramas, they will mix spackle with Elmer's glue. And he told me
Whoa.
to do a ratio of about, I think it was 60% Elmer's glue and then about 40% spackle, or it was like 55, like 45. Anyway, I did that. I put it all over the entire, body, and it worked. I haven't had a crack since. So I'm really happy because now I could like call her done. I have to paint her still, or repaint her. But I'll be able to call her finished and, put her up on the shelf.
Figure out
And
a place for her on the shelf, right?
yeah, that my bad guy shelf up
Yeah.
here, I have like the Mando speeder up on there. I probably have a bunch of Death Watch guys on speeder bikes. I probably have about 4 speeder bikes on there. I'm just gonna take that Mando ship off, and I'll probably hang it from the ceiling somewhere. And I'll take all the speeder bikes off, and I have way more Death Watch guys on that shelf than necessary. So I will probably take those guys off, put Karina on, and then I'll have plenty of room for her, I think. Hopefully, we'll see.
There you
But
go. There you go. You going to be making more room for this week for the toys this week? Last week I said I thought that I made a mistake, folks. I thought that Go Rogue Friday was this Friday, this previous Friday, but I guess I just got caught up with Rebels. That was really cool, but I know this coming week we got a bunch of toys coming. You interested in those?
I'm definitely interested in the Rebels figures, only because I want to finish that collection out. I made a switch. I used to have all my Rebel stuff on a smaller shelf, and knowing that there's a considerable amount of Rebel stuff coming down the pike, we at least have figures coming out in the next 3 waves that'll be coming out.
Yeah.
So I did move all my Rebel stuff to a larger shelf, so I'll have more area to display those. And I'll probably definitely pick up the Rebel stuff. I'm gonna probably decide, what I'm probably gonna cherry pick the Rogue One stuff.
Yeah, a little less this time, huh?
Yeah, if it was my choice, I probably wouldn't even bother at all. And it's not the sculpts look good, the paint looks good. I'm not really interested in 5 POA figures anymore going forward. So I'll probably Elias is interested. I like the TIE Striker. The TIE Striker looks cool. I think the U-Wing looks interesting too. I just
Lost for words. Lost for words.
Yeah,
let's get
I mean,
back
I'm
to it.
running out of room and I'm being picky, so let's talk Brain Invaders.
Yeah, Brain Invaders it is. Here we go. All right. So, first off, we have our fortune cookie. Attachment is not compassion. What do you think about that?
They are 2 separate. They are separate things.
Yeah.
Because I've been attached to things that sometimes had nothing to do with compassion.
Yeah, this entire arc, they really it piggybacked from Anakin to Ahsoka to Barriss to Luminara. They jumped back and forth who was trying to get rid of attachment, and by the end of this episode, we'll talk about it in a little while. Anakin is the one that's he's the one that's really driving it home to Ahsoka, isn't he? He's trying to say his piece about attachment, and it's interesting to hear him talk about it because he's kind of the pot calling the kettle black, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he's funny that way.
Yeah,
he's one of the biggest hypocrites in the show for sure.
Yeah. But I love this image. Check this out. So here we are. We're still on Geonosis, and they have caught Poggle, and they're taking him in. And we are talking about our next mission. And here we see Poggle, and he's totally awesome. I did show my Poggle last week, and I thought I'd show him again. Check this out. This is kind of a hybrid version of Poggle, but I made him a little bit more Clone Wars-esque, if you will. Gave him a little bit more accentuated fins on his head and changed the face a lot. That's mainly what I did. I just changed the face, and then I gave him articulating arms. So there he is. If you didn't get to see last week's episode, there is my version of Poggle, kind of a dual Poggle. I may go back one day and make like a fully animated looking Poggle using the Geonosian. Man, wasn't that a great figure? The Geonosian warrior.
Honestly, that's one of my favorite Clone Wars figures that they put out.
Serious, yeah. Cool parts and everything, just really awesome. But here we have Ki-Adi-Mundi, and he comes out of the ship, and everybody's all concerned because he goes, "We have a problem." And this is going to lead us into, it's kind of an Easter egg, but it's just an Easter egg of information. He basically tells them that they have to go to Dantooine, and somebody else is going to have to finish this mission out or whatever. And do you know who's on Dantooine during this episode?
I do know that Dantooine is where Leia and New Hope had pegged as where the Rebel base was, but
right. But this is getting into my Easter egg a little bit. So I know you don't really like the Clone Wars micro series, but Dantooine is the place where Mace Windu was.
That was one of the cooler scenes in that series.
You know, and I feel like in this show, in the Clone Wars, Filoni has often cherry-picked things from that episode or from that series and just kind of brought it over into the new show. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. I often wonder if maybe they were going to do something where we saw, you know, Mace on Dantooine kicking butt. He loses his lightsaber and he's just like kung fuing these super battle droids in the back here. It's just such a cool part of the show. But
didn't they say in that episode that was supposed to be told like through the perspective of the young boy who witnessed it happen, and you're actually seeing his memory of that?
Right. And it's like it's almost like a Mean Joe Green moment in the end. You know, I borrowed that from somebody recently, but you know, he doesn't even speak. There's no real words or anything. No dialogue is what I'm saying. And yeah, it's from the kid's perspective, kind of a wind farmer, if you will. Yep. Cool thing. So back to the episode. Here we are in Geonosis, and apparently there's eggs riddled all over Geonosis with these worms that were in some of these previous episodes that they were going to actually make or force into we find out the nose of Luminara, right? And we find out that later on this whole planet is just riddled with these eggs, and they're like the Geonosian Queen's internet, if you will. So here are some imagery. There's some imagery there, and here we have Scythe, I believe his name is, and this is a guy we actually got, which was cool, which was super.
Yeah, he came in that 2-pack with Ahsoka with a bunch of worms.
Yeah, those ended up. I don't know about you, but those ended up at Marshall's.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, heavy
in the discount aisle. I don't think we ever saw these at regular brick and mortar, but kudos for them. For actually making it, you know what I'm saying? This was one of the characters on that list. Once again, if you didn't see our episode last week, I discussed how they focused so greatly on just this arc. They gave us 21 characters, and he was one of them. So there's that character. And we see that it actually goes up his nose once again. and he's all, bleh, he's freaked out. But he goes back to normal, and he's basically controlled now by an unseen force. And here we have Tango Company, and I recently did Tango Company, and I want to share them throughout this episode. You're kind of getting a cut off picture here, but this is the majority of them, and I will be sharing them here. Here is Havoc, and this is mainly just a repaint. If you look at his head, I actually did do some work with the Procreate, and actually made nice sideburns and gave him an actual goatee opposed to painting it on. You can paint it on if you want, but if you want a little bit more depth, you could always just use a little bit of green stuff, or you find that green stuff is really good for making hair.
Yeah, especially if it's like, hair that's coming off the body.
Yeah.
And it's not, when you have like strands or, anything of that nature, I find that it could work all right. Even Procreate, I would say, works really well. Procreate might even be a bit stronger these days. So
yeah, I feel like it sticks to the plastic really nicely. So I'm a big fan of Procreate myself. You can get it online. You can get it at different game stores. It's very similar to green stuff, where you mix the two different compounds and make one into gray stuff, basically, and it has a little less work time than green stuff does. But
I get mine at Amazon.com.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I get mine at a little game shop I have down the street from my day job. So here's Pulsar. I thought I'd just run through these. Like I said, these are all just repaints of clone troopers from Tango Company. And here we are back at the episode, and this is what I was talking about, where it gets very shining. Like, the music is just like, it has this very ominous tone to it, and they all sit up at the same time. It's very creepy. I'm sure this was like, no, it was in December, but I'm sure they wanted to air this in October, but it probably didn't fit. And if I didn't mention it, Ahsoka and Barriss were the ones that had to take Tango Company and the relief supplies to Ord Cestus, and they took Tango Company with them. So they're on this ship with this whole group of guys that are just completely infected. So you're playing this game of who is infected and who isn't infected. And we run into these guys. Barriss and Ahsoka are actually, they're having some late night food or something, and they just decide that they want to talk a little bit. And these guys come in with this kind of blank stare on their face, and they just start to open fire on Ahsoka and Barriss. And they're like, what the heck is going on with these guys? So here is Edge. This is one of them. Like I said, this is just a repaint, and I added a little bit more finesse to his sideburns there. And that's all just paint. You notice how I gave him the same Stark eyes, the blue eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then Ox. And I love this one very much because I gave him kind of a blank stare, kind of off in the distance, kind of mean and creepy, right?
Yeah, I like the hair on that one too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so here is Trap, and he is the guy. He's the one that gives up the goods. He's the one that shows the worm, right? I didn't actually make that on Trap. I should have made it on Trap. But I just made the actual trooper, and then here he is, and he's actually trying to, I guess the worm is just trying to infect Jump from Bob. Yeah, jump from body to body or something like that. I'm assuming they wanted to infect Jedi because they wanted to have a strong person on their side. You know, somebody that can maybe overthrow even the Sith or something. You know, if they were doing their bidding, you know, they would have like a power player. So
Force user.
So here is what I did in that rendition. I just made kind of a hive trooper at first, and all this really is just kind of a head swap. I just put a kind of a worm coming out of his mouth, and I made his eyes kind of blank. I might go back in and actually, you know, make Trap again and make him with the eyes and the face like that. I just think that's cool that it's, you know, it's all sticking out like that. So there's that, and here we have Barriss, because what happens to her? They decide to split up, right?
Yeah.
And here we see Barriss has come back after they split up, and Ahsoka's not sure what's going on, but we know from further on in this episode that she was infected. And the medical ship that they're actually on looks a lot like a Tantive 4. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah, the interior of it and everything, and all the different hallways and whatnot. But she's infected at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And before we go on, you wanted to share a little bit about your Barriss. You had done something with your Barriss, right?
Yeah, I didn't do anything too crazy. It's really just a work in progress more than anything else.
Cool.
Or it was at the time that I had shared it. But essentially, when Barriss came out in the Clone Wars line,
yeah,
she didn't have any articulation in the knees, so or the ankles or anything like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I remember I was talking to Luke Skywalker at the time, and I was saying, man, I wish I could just like give her articulation.
Sure.
And that's when he had told me about the Clone Wars Cad Bane figure, the first one that didn't have any articulation in his knees. The elbows on that action figure are removable, where it has a pin on both sides of the joint. Which is, there's not very many figures in the Clone Wars line, or many figures in even the Hasbro realistic line that offer that. But I know that the Clone Wars Adventure Padme Amidala has that in her elbows, and that Cad Bane does.
Wow.
So if you don't have a Cad Bane and you do have the Adventure Padme, that's an option, where you can get the joint there as well.
Yeah.
But I basically just cut her above the knee and below the knee, and I took those Cad Bane joints and I inserted them. You're seeing basically a work in progress shot. I did a post called "The Bee's Knees," B for Barriss, B for Bane. And yeah, that's basically all you have to do to articulate it. And then, you're going to want to paint that appropriately so it all blends. This is a non-blended picture, and I don't think I ever posted it after I completed it. I think it was more just trying to give people an option for, a figure that offers you joints if you want to articulate figures. And I've used those same joints on a Rebels Sabine when I articulated Sabine. I countless figures. I couldn't even tell you how many. Anytime I see that Cad Bane, usually Tung Hori sells them for like $3 to $4 a clip, and I'll buy like 5 or 6 in a shot just for the elbows.
Yeah, we're seeing that more and more, aren't we? Where we're adding articulation all the time in the era of 5 POA.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm starting to get away from collecting, future releases. I'll go back and I'll fill in holes. I don't have many, but at this point, I refuse to take good figures and destroy them to articulate figures that are below par.
Or what I call not even finished. They're like prototypes. 5 POA are prototypes. It's how they start them, how they design them. But that's a whole other rant. I don't want to can of worms. I don't want to get on. Right?
we have whole podcasts devoted just to that.
Yeah. We could do another one of them, and I could be way crueler than I think I was. I was super nice on that one, but anywho, let's get back to our episode here, and I will continue sharing what I was sharing. So here we see Barriss, and she is infected by the worms, so she is now against Ahsoka. So Ahsoka's basically all by herself on this ship with an entire infected group. And since they have Poggle in their presence, the other Jedis, they managed to get one message out to the ship saying that the ship was infected, and they're going to go and interrogate Poggle. And check out that droid in the back. I love that droid. He's he's Poggle's interrogation droid or interpreter. He's just basically a Republic droid. And I actually went in and made this character actually twice. And this is my first attempt. I thought I'd show you this. This is just a straight repaint, folks, of C-3PO. And his name is TC-326. And when you repaint, sometimes for different effects, like the eyes, if you notice, I had to lose that light up effect because this guy has bright blue eyes, right?
Yep.
And this was my first version of him where I just kind of hand painted the symbol on his chest and everything. And since then, I had somebody ask me if I could do another one for him. And I went and did this version. Check that one out. And this is once again when I didn't know his name. I went back in and put that in there, TC-326. But check out the symbol on his chest. It's an actual sticker that I printed up. Isn't that tight?
Yeah, I like those vinyl stickers. Those are great.
Yeah, it turned out pretty nice. As long as it stays on there, it's pretty sharp. It's not a film slide, folks. I know that's kind of the nicest form of decaling that you could probably put on a character. I know that's probably what they use at Hasbro or other toy companies and whatnot. But what that is you can kind of see the edge around the sticker. It's just basically vinyl. It's just a little bit thicker than what it needs to be since it's so small, but it certainly does the trick, and I think it looks great. I've even seen people do like paper, and they'll like gloss coat over it. It's pretty inventive, but I thought that worked for me. So there's two versions of TC-326, and I love this part. I don't know about you. This is the Anakin I truly wanted to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Ahsoka said it well when she was explaining Anakin's techniques to Barriss, and she was like, Anakin will sometimes do whatever it takes,
Right.
to get the job done.
Yeah. And this is just the one I wanted to see. And I think a lot of people wanted this Anakin. We wanted to see him go to the dark side. We wanted to see a gradual fall to the dark side, not just kind of an abrupt thing. You and I were talking recently about that new video. You got it on Amazon, right? It's
oh yeah, the prequel Strike Back, A Fan's Journey.
Right.
I really love that. I mean, it really addresses a lot of the criticisms that were made of the prequels, and I think it really vindicates George Lucas in a lot of ways, and I highly recommend that movie to everyone. I think it's it's getting like 9.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's cool.
It's been getting really good reviews, and I ended up talking to the director the day that it came out for a while, and I have nothing but complimentary things to say about it. I hope that people go and watch it, and then maybe they'll have a better understanding of what George Lucas was doing, and it just informs, and it says things like there were actually more practical effects done in the prequels than there were even in the original trilogy, a great deal more.
Mhm.
Just like little bits of information like that I think just need to be put out there because there's a lot of unfair criticism.
Yeah, and you get that with everything these days in the
No,
era
you
of
do. I
the
mean, but
internet. You're going to always get criticisms, and you don't know why they come, right? You just don't know why. I mean,
yeah,
there are things, and what I was touching upon with this with Anakin, and I'll go back to this. And this is maybe one of my criticisms, and just a light criticism. Doesn't really mean that I didn't like the prequels. I absolutely adore them. Were they as great as the original trilogy? Not necessarily, but they were still pretty good in my mind. But I think one of my opinions that I hold true to is he didn't. I always think of Swordfish. Have you ever seen that movie with John Travolta?
no.
Oh well, he's kind of like a terrorist in the beginning, and he's talking about how this movie didn't push the envelope, right? And I wish they would push the envelope a lot of times, and this scene definitely takes us there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, especially for a kid. It was deemed a kid show at the
Yeah,
time. Like we all know now that it was much more than that. But
yeah, it was super dark. They would never do what they did on Rebels, what they did on Clone Wars. Killing people all the time. I mean, you
I don't
see,
know. Did you see the premiere?
yeah, sure did, sure
Just
did.
that opening scene after they get Hondo and that Ugnaught out. That went
Yeah,
pretty dark.
yeah. Well, don't tell anybody anything unless they,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah, unless they haven't seen it.
Well, I only mentioned stuff that was in the trailer so far.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We did see those trailers, and that's what I think is going on as we go on in Star Wars fandom. I believe that they're learning to, go back to the sources, go back to, not play by these rules that say either you're a Jedi or you're a Sith, and you can push the envelope, or you can ask different questions that are not, based on rules. It's kind of a gray area in Rebels, and I like that. But back to this episode, and he just decides he wants to get this information out of him. Yeah, so he just picks him up and just starts strangling him. I guess he's got to get ready for Padme, right?
Yeah.
In Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. When he strangles her. I think this is just so cool, though, because you just see the side of Anakin that I guess we want to see, that we've always wanted to see. So, yeah. So we definitely get the information, and they basically tell, or Poggle tells him that they're affected by the cold. The worms are affected by the cold. And this is conveyed right when the ship comes out of hyperspace, and instead of docking with the medical bay or whatever it is, the Ord Cestus medical station, I'm assuming it's just going to crash into it. So Kid Fisto sends out these tugs that are going to basically try to pull it in instead of force it to dock instead of crash. And this is going to lead me into my next custom, and this is a first time reveal tonight. If you look in the background, we have a medical clone officer, and he's wearing the white there. Basically, he looks like a clone officer, but he's just in a different outfit, different color. So I took the time to make this guy tonight. Check him out.
Oh, that's awesome. I've been always wanting to do one of those.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I just did a couple different things. If you notice his insignia, I cut the bottom portion off. I think I've seen you do that before. So
Yep.
I made his rank badge a little more accurate to what it looks like in the image gallery. You know what he's supposed to look like, and he has some kind of weird patch on his arm. You can kind of see it. It just consists of like 3 red dots. They get that really flashy medic logo later on down the road. That one that actually looks like a red cross. But currently, I guess that little one on his arm is the medical badge. The medical badge of the Republic. So all I did here, folks, is I just cut a heavy head and neck off. And I just glued it to the existing Yularen neck, and I just repainted this guy. You have a really cool tip, don't you, for fitting heads or ball joints on non-fitting balls in the necks, right?
Yeah, I usually just flip the head upside down and I
Yep.
fill that hole with a little bit of glue gun, and you just stick it right back on the ball. You can turn it left and right, and it usually cools immediately as soon as it hits the neck peg.
Wow, you
And
don't wait a little bit, or you don't wait a little bit, or you
no,
just.
I try to get it on there quick. That way it form fits to the neck peg.
Oh, okay.
And then once everything's cool, you could even run it under like cold water once you have it in place,
Yeah.
just to like solidify it immediately if you'd like, and then just cut off the excess with the razor blade, and you get a perfect fit. You can shake it upside down, and it still has the full range of motion that you need, which is
Cool.
perfect.
Yeah, I gotta go get me a glue gun.
Yeah, it's like that's the only thing I really use my glue gun for. Is just to sometimes I'll use it for other joints as well, but namely I mostly use it just for the heads more than
Sure.
anything. Sometimes I'll use it like and maybe wrist to get like a snugger fit on like the wrist pegs, or anytime where the hole is just a little bit too big, I use it as a filler sometimes.
Yeah. Very cool tip. I will definitely try it just as soon as I get myself a glue gun.
Yeah, they're only like $5 to $10 at a Walmart or a craft store, and usually the glue sticks you can get like 100 for really cheap.
Maybe I'll pick one up when I'm going rogue or go rogue or whatever that is this Thursday night. Because I'm definitely going to Walmart. I would prefer to get those super articulated repack wave.
Man, I had a tie striker in my hand today, brought it up to the register, and they wouldn't let me buy it.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, I've been checking all my stores, all my WalMarts in Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin, and some other people I know that live near here, they were telling me that they have been finding stuff, but I'm like, that's not happening down here
Well, you know
because.
what people are starting to do, which is kind of sucks. They're taking the older figures
Mhm.
and they'll go to the self checkout line and they'll scan the older figure and then just drop in the Rogue One figure, so they're still able to pay the right price for it, but it screws up the stock, so it's going to be really hard to get these items back in the stores again, because the store is going to show them as having full stock.
Yeah, don't do that, folks. That's a little dishonest. That's a little bit
Yeah,
more.
you'll get them and no one else will.
Yeah, right. To be honest with you, that's not. You're not really scanning the merchandise that you're buying. Um,
Yeah,
I don't condone
same
whatever
price or not,
whatever that is. The creative
you're
reasons.
causing more gridlock and more distribution problems.
That's a shame. That's a shame. I hope we don't have the problems that we had with Force Friday, because that was kind of a joke. We
I
had
went
both.
to a Toys R Us today and I asked, like, what are the stock levels going to be? Is it like, are you only going to have enough stock for the first 3 or 4 people online?
Yeah,
And they wouldn't give me a straight answer.
of course not. Of course not. It's always beat around the bush these days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm kind of on the Ram train tonight, so I will move it along. So here we have Barris, and I suppose the worm is just trying to it's hating the cold, so either it's going to try to get to Ahsoka. Maybe since she's not infected, it has one more place to go or something. But Barris is like, kill me. That's where it gets dark, she becomes herself again, and she's like, please kill me. So I guess it was agony, these worms or whatever. And then we see the next scene, and here it is. She's cut her through. No, she didn't. You think she killed her. She didn't kill her. She just cut the worm out, and everything was okay. All was good. And this was the end of the episode, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where Anakin basically says, if you have to let go, you got to let go. But, he's a walking contradiction. So,
man, that window kind of reminds me of the end of Empire Strikes Back when Luke and Leia are standing in front of the window and Luke gets his robot hand.
Yeah. You see that. You see like little hints and, things that harken back. They do that once in, what is that episode? The one with the Y-wing bombers, where where Anakin and Ahsoka and R2, they're standing out the bay of that window, and you can see just this awesome shot. It's really cool. But I love that. Yeah, it definitely looks like the medical bay from Empire Strikes Back, for sure. For sure. Yeah. So that is our episode, folks. That is Brain Invaders. Love it. Love it. We appreciate you guys so much. If you come for the show, if you come for both the customs and the show, that's great. Or just the customs, let us know. Let us know in the information below. Just give us a shout. Tell us what you like about the show. What's that?
Yeah, because we have people that are tuning in, and I do want to apologize to everyone. Like, I try to get the episode up in as many places as possible, and I really kind of dropped the ball. Last week, I just had a really busy work week, and I had a lot of stuff going on, just life stuff, and I didn't even share last week's episode. I probably only shared in half the places I normally do, and I tried to do the other half this morning. So I know probably a lot of you didn't even know we had an episode or thought maybe we skipped a week, and I do want to apologize for that. I really recommend that you guys just subscribe, and you're going to know when the actual episodes come out, because it seems like there's at least 100 of you every week who are tuning in regularly. And
we appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We don't want you to miss out on things if I drop the ball, or if I'm in a situation where I just don't have the time to spread the word the way I normally do. So that could be a way that you don't miss future content. And I would really like to know, do you guys come here for the Easter eggs, or you come in for the customs, for the techniques that we're sharing? Because we want to make sure that we're not missing out on giving you the content that you're coming here for. So yeah, just let us know why you're coming, and what it is that you really appreciate about the show, and that way we make sure that we're providing that to you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So
awesome. I am your host, Peak Obi-Wan, and you can find me at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations, and you can also find me at Clone Wars Custom Action Figures, and both of those are on Facebook. You can find me at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Figures on Instagram. And where can we find you?
You can find me at www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. You could find links there to find our Twitter page, our YouTube page, Facebook page, Google+, Tumblr, Instagram, and Pinterest. I think I got it all. If I didn't,
everything. We
Yeah.
can find you somewhere, right? Yeah, you can
Yeah.
check us out on YouTube. We're always on YouTube. We try to do our shows on Sundays. That's every Sunday. We try to do them every Sunday. So if you can't find them on one of our posts that we're not posting, just look on YouTube under Customizing the Clone Wars. Usually, hopefully, it will be there. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. Take care. Have a great night.
May the force be with you.